Discuss the case closed. Rashi has it's a very famous Rashi down here.
Who says it's Sulaiman?
The Gemara says.
The Gemara, not Rava.
And there's nothing more to be said.
Do they say that it's added on by the Gainim or something? Sulaimidi? It's a type of thing that the scholars would say Sulaimidi is an addition from the Gainim or the Rabbanan Savarai, Stamayim, yeah, whatever. Okay. Yeah, there's a very famous Rashi here. Rashi goes through over here all the controversial issues in the in Nisr V'Heter, and he says his opinions on each one. He says that we hold Efshel L'Seichti also we go like Rabbi Yehuda. He says he also mentions the concept of Isser Davak. Notice that Isser Davik is if a piece of meat is attached to chelav, that chelav goes first into the meat, and then I have to use the whole meat to. Then he talks about min b'minai. He paskins that min b'minai is loy batal, like Rabbi Yehuda. Chumrah, that's not the halach. That's not how we say in Shulchan Aruch. I'm sorry.
It's very much there.
Yeah, and then he says. I thought he said something about Tam Kicker as well. Okay. New Mishnah. In the Gemara, this is a lot of fun. In Shulchan Aruch, this Mishnah is not a lot of fun. They even skip it some places when they do smicha. It's called Chal, Siman Tzadik. They skip it. It's about the udder.
Most interesting status of the halakha in
Yeah.
Right, we don't need the udder nowadays.
Yeah, that's easy. You see, it's easy. Don't need
Philosophically, it's the most interesting question.
Right. So the udder is where the milk comes out. Where you milk the animal, that's the udder. The problem is that it's meat. You slaughter the animal, it has meat, and it also has the milk in the ducts in the that wasn't if it was a nursing mother, then it would have that. Okay, so hakal, the udder, kairai umaitzi eschal bay. You have to cut it and remove the milk. Laikar, if it wasn't cut, eina over alav, you don't violate. What don't you violate? Rashi says you don't get karas. If it wasn't cut, is it? If you eat it, right? That's what we're talking about. If you eat it.
What's karas for what?
Milk inside
For-
considered blood until it comes out.
I'm sorry, I said karas. That's on the next piece. I'm sorry, eina over, you don't get malchus for eating it. Thank you for saying that. Halev, the heart, has the same halacha. Kaira yumaitzi estama, you have to tear it to take out the blood. Laikar, if you don't tear it, eina over alav. Here is where it says, Rashi says you don't get karas for eating the blood. Blood is a serious violation. So Amar Rab Zera, Amar Rav. Rab Zera says in the name of Rav. There's Rav, and Rab Zera went to Eretz Yisrael. I thought Rab Zera was like a student of Rabbi Yehuda. He says now in the name of Rav. Amar Rab Zera, Amar Rav. Rab Zera is over here. Rab Zera saying in the name of Rav. When the Mishnah said Eina over alav, when you didn't tear the udder, it means Eina over alav umutter, and you're allowed to eat it. It was cooked already. You cooked it already, you're allowed to eat it. There's no Issur D'Rabbanan. Now, you just cooked meat with milk, right? It's a problem. Why are you allowed to eat it?
But they don't cut it?
They're supposed to cut it open and let it drain, but he forgot to. So, it says that...
Maybe it's like a shilya.
Yeah, exactly. So Rashi says that, he quotes, that chalav shchuta is only yasser mid'Rabbanan, only when it's extracted. And here, when it says that you cooked it, we're going to talk about where you're actually roasting it. You're not actually cooking it. So the milk that drips out is extracted and it leaves. And the milk that remains inside is not even prohibited mid'Rabbanan. After it's shechted, it's considered milk mid'Rabbanan. only if it's extracted. So what remains inside is not even asr midrabanan, it's mutter. The Gemara asks, that doesn't fit with the wording of the Mishnah. The Mishnah says that you don't violate. We don't violate sounds like miyavar hu d'layavar. There's no violation that incurs a punishment. But it still is forbidden. If you read it carefully, the Gemara answers, Bedinhu, in actuality, disur namilaka, it's not even forbidden either. But because we have two cases in the Mishnah, and we like to make the rule of the Mishnah symmetrical. So because in the end of the Mishnah we had to say something, so we said that same phrase in the beginning, even though that's not as accurate as we could have if we only had one case. What does it say? Halev kaira, it says the heart that you have to cut, umaytias damai, and you have to remove the blood. Loi karu, but if you don't cut it, eino iver alav, you don't incur the punishment of karis. And over there, hasam yavar hudalay yavar, over there you don't violate the prohibition to incur the punishment. Ha yisurika, but you definitely have a prohibition. Rashi explains that we're dealing with blood of a bird, a heart of a bird that doesn't have enough blood to incur the punishment. The heart doesn't have. It's less than a. Is it revius or kazayas? Kazayas, he says. We don't have kazayas. I don't know why. That's an interesting point. You don't have a kazayas because I guess that's because like seichal, v'dam leisechel or something. Chel v'dam leisechel. So. So. Chatzi shear is still aser. If you eat less than a kazayas, it's still prohibited. So over there it says that you don't get the punishment. So therefore, by the milk in the udder, we also say that you don't get the punishment, even though we could have said that it's actually permissible lechatchila to eat it after it's cooked. It's like it's lechatchila after you've messed up. After you're supposed to take it out, you didn't. You're allowed to go ahead and eat it. The Gemara says, "Lema misayale." Maybe we can bring a raya from a tesefta. A brisa, it says hakal kairo yomaytzias chalbay. The udder you cut and you remove the milk. Like karu, if you don't cut it, eino iver alav, you don't violate. Halev karai, the heart you have to cut, umaytzias damai, and remove the blood. Like karu, if you didn't cut it, karalacha bishula yumata, you can tear it after it was already cooked, and it's mutter. Levhu debai kriya, the heart, that's the one that requires some follow-up fixing. However, avakale by kri, you don't have to do anything to the kal. It's a proof that you're allowed to go ahead and eat it straight. The Gemara says that's not a good proof. Dilmalevu the sagile bekriya. Maybe the heart, it helps tearing afterwards. The Gemara explains because lev is shia. Shia means that it's smooth, it's muscle. Dr. Stein would help us with this, and it won't absorb the blood. It's not meant to absorb the blood. It has a different function. The heart doesn't absorb the blood. So even when it's cooked, it won't absorb the blood. It has a smooth, like a lining. So, anything to add?
It says, "Leiv nishbar v'nitkel l'kim l'siv." A broken heart fixes everything.
I have a question because it says over here by the halacha, it's talking about with the udder, and it says if a person cooked it with meat, it's mutter after the fact. If it had been torn, if being machmir will result in a significant financial loss.
Yeah.
So my question is, a lot of times when I ask Rabbi Marlowe a question, I tell him this and this, and he implies that the cost is not relevant to the question. In other words, if I'm saying this is more money, but it's a better hechsher or whatever it is, he sort of seems to say we're not talking about the financial situation regarding whether this is okay or that's okay. You have to disregard the financial. So I don't know if it's the particular question, but in general, he seems to say money's not the object over here, whether something's okay or not okay.
It's a general question.
You have significant extra meruba to suffer some kind of minimal loss. There is no way out. If it's significant and it's going to cause you damage, then they might find something to mount or something.
Let me just clarify. the halacha is very gray. There's many stages of levels of strictness. A lot of times the base halacha is that you can be lenient, it's not a problem. But we have reasons to be strict. So in certain circumstances, you rely on the base halacha that says, Gemara says, Shulchan Aruch says, you can accept that. There's reasons to be strict, so if you don't have any reason if you're able to be strict, then go for it. You aim for the highest, but you settle for the lowest. That's when you ask a rabbi a question, it's good if the rabbi knows you, because that way he can paskin for you. The one rabbi said they would call him. He'd say, "Rabbi, you don't know me." And he says, "Look, if I don't know you, let's keep it that way. I can't answer your question." Because the rabbi really has to know the person to say the financial is not an issue here. It's important that the rabbi knows the circumstance.
I saw in a letter from a Rebbe that he said that you can't open up a safe for a child and say, "Oh, he answered that person."
Right, of course.
But most people don't realize that.
Aval Chal.
So far we've established that as it relates to Chal, Ein Ever allowed, just basically trying to fit in with the second half.
Right, exactly.
So then, if I reread the Mishnah, Kal Karu Maitzines Chal Like Karu Mutar.
Right.
Okay, so why do I gotta say Like Karu? Kal Mutar. That's all.
No, because the Chatchila you're supposed to remove it. You're supposed to remove it. If you didn't remove it, you don't have to throw it out. You can still eat it. That's what I mean. You don't have to. You can still eat it. But maybe now the Gemara is saying Aval Chal Leisagile Bekriya. In the Brisa, it says that the heart you tear. Maybe the Chal it doesn't help to tear, so we didn't say that. It's not a proof. We're not disproving anything. We're just saying we thought we could bring a proof that the Chal is going to be permissible afterwards because it doesn't say that you have to tear it. Maybe it just means that tearing it won't help. Ikad Amri, there's another version of what Reb Zeir says in the name of Rav. Amar Reb Zeir Amar Rav. Reb Zeir says in the name of Rav, Eina Oiver Alav V'Aser. You don't violate the prohibition to incur the punishment. However, it's still Aser. Exactly the opposite. If you cooked it, or if you cooked it without tearing it, it's Aser. Lema Messiah. Let's bring a proof. Mishnah says, Eina Oiver Alav. You don't violate to incur the punishment. Mi'avar hu d'lo yavar. You only don't get the punishment. Ha'yisurika, but it still is prohibited. It's a proof. The Gemara says, really, it's not a proof. Why? B'dinhu the isur nami leka. Really, it's not forbidden either. Ba'adi the b'ayla mishnah seifa. But because when we needed to say the end of the Mishnah, haleiv karim aitzias damai. The heart you tear and you take it, remove the blood. But like karoena Oiver Alav, if you didn't tear it, you don't incur the punishment. The hasam yavar hu d'lo yavar ha'yisurik. Over there, you don't incur the punishment because you didn't have enough blood. It was the blood from it was the heart of a chicken. It doesn't have enough blood, but it's still prohibited. So Tananam Reisha and Oiver Alav. So the Reisha also says, by the other, it says that you don't incur the punishment, but it doesn't have to mean that it's prohibited as well. It could mean that really there it's permissible. It just used that term to make it symmetrical with the Sefer. Tashma, come in here, come and listen. Hakal, the other, kairei maitzias chalbai. You tear it and you remove the milk. Like her, if you don't tear it, eina oiver alav. You don't incur the punishment. Halev kairei maitzias damai. The heart you tear and you remove the blood. Like her, if you didn't tear it, kairei lacha bishula yamata. You tear it after it's cooked and it's permissible. Leiv hu debai kriya. The heart needs to be torn afterwards. Aval kal loy bai kriya. But the kal you don't have to tear. Sounds like it's permissible. It's a kasha on the second version of Rav's statement that says that it's forbidden. The Gemara answers Dilma leiv hu desagi leiv kriya. Doesn't mean it's permissible. The heart, it helps if you tear it. Aval kal leisagi leiv kriya. But the kal, even if you tear it, it doesn't help. It's still forbidden. Possibly. Okay. Tanya Kalishna Kama de Rav. There's a brisa that fits with the Lishna Kama, the first version of Rav, which said that if you didn't tear it and you cooked it, it's permissible. Now, I've been very vague about cooking. If I'm talking about roasting, and when I say cooking, if it means cooking with other meat, I'm avoiding the complexities. Just for if you want to follow these Taisus, and that's what basically Rashi is going to be learning, that cooking it is always going to be referring to roasting. There's a brisa that fits with the first lishon of Rab. Chal shebishlei b'chal bay mutter. A chal, an udder, that's cooked with the milk that's inside it, it's permissible. That's pretty clear. Keva shebishlei b'chal bay it's aser. Keva, we haven't spoken about this in this context. Keva is the stomach of the calf that drinks its mother's milk, which is usually used as rennet to make cheese. But if you take that keva, obamaisam, it's I think the part of the stomach, and you cook it with the milk that it nursed, and it's still inside it, that's going to be aser. Ma hefresh bein zelazeh. What's the difference? It says zeh kanis b'meyav. This is collected in the stomach. That means it came out of the mother, it became milk. But this was not collected in the stomach. It was still in the udder. It's not considered milk. That's why the chal, if it's cooked, it's permissible. This is a proof to the lishna kama of Rav. Keitzad kairei. How do you tear it? Amar Rav Yehuda kairei shesaveir v'tachel b'kaisel. Rav Yehuda says, Rav Yehuda, the student of Rav, he says that you tear it. Shesiveirav means horizontal and vertical, and then you push it against the wall to squeeze out the milk. Amalei Rabbi Lazar l'shami. Rabbi Lazar, usually Rabbi Lazar is Rabbi Lazar ben Pedas. It's in Israel, although he traveled to Israel, so it doesn't say where he is right now. He told his servant, "Karo livane ye'echel, tear it, and I'm going to eat." Micah Mashmalan. What's he trying to say? We know that you have to tear it. Masnisini, that's the Mishnah. It's coming to teach me that you don't need to tear it both ways, this way and that way, crisscross. You can just tear it one tearing, and then that's enough for roasting it. Okay. Amrle Yalta le Rav Nachman. This is a very famous Gemara. Yalta.
What was the last one? What's the big deal? You cut it this way, or just cut it one way?
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah, but really the big deal is that if you're going to cook it, then you need to cut it both ways. But if you're going to roast it, you only need to cut it one way. That's in this.
The cooking is different from roasting.
Yeah. Why? Because roasting, we're not so concerned that it's going to go out and enter back in. You see, once it exits the udder, it becomes milk, and it's rabbinically forbidden. So we're concerned that it may go back in after it's. So therefore, we need to extract all the milk.
Is that the reason you said that Rabbi Yehuda here is assuming that you're roasting and not, because the
That's
prototype
Rashi.
of cooking, Rashi, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
the prototype of cooking is in the liquid.
Is it what?
Is in
It's in liquid,
Right.
but Derek Law, when it says
Right.
cooking, it means in
Rashi
liquid.
said, "Vayivashlu es Pesach," and which means that they roasted the Pesach, even though it uses the word bishul.
Yeah.
So it means roasting. That's a proof for Rashi that it could mean roasting. Yalta is the wife of Reb Nachman, and she's famous probably because of this Gemara.
She's on the sheet.
Really?
Yeah, she made it.
Oh, she made it to the chart.
Wow.
Wow.
Her father was the Reish Galusa or something.
Yeah.
He's very wealthy.
Yeah.
Are there any other women in this right?
She was the one. She was the one fighting with Rav Zera, I think. No.
We have without a name. Well, we have Chaima. We do have Chaima. Chaima was this
She
beautiful
wanted to
woman.
get
She
the
broke
Rav
all the
Zera
barrels.
refused.
And then we have the
to-
daughter of Rav Chizda. There's only 3 women here.
She broke 300 barrels because they didn't give her a special bracha.
So Yalta
Okay.
tells to her husband, Michti, now that Kol da Asalan Rachmana Sharalan Kavasei, everything that the Torah forbade, it also permitted. In other words, you're able to have a taste of every forbidden thing in the Torah in a permissible way. So Asalan Dama, the Torah says you can't have blood, but Sharal and Kavda, but it allows you to eat liver. So if you want to know what blood tastes like, it's not a problem. Eat liver and it's kosher. Nida, you can't live with a woman that's a nida. However, dam tayar, there's blood that a woman has that she's pure after she gives birth. Rashi also mentions dam besulim. That's permissible biblically. The virginity, the blood that comes out then, that should be permissible. We don't to live with a woman. Chalav behema, chelav behema, the fat of an animal. Chelav chaya, you can have of a deer, of a wild animal. You can have the fat, so you can see what it tastes like. Chazir, you can't have pig. Right. However, meicha de shibuta, but you can have the head of a shibuta fish. It tastes like pig. Girusa, this is a non-kosher fish. Lishna de kavra, you can have the tongue of another type of fish that tastes like the girusa fish. I'm sorry, girusa is a bird. Rashi says it's a bird. Lishna de kavra must be a tongue of. Does it say what a kavra is? Of a fish. A tongue of a fish. We're looking for a flavor of a bird. You can have the tongue of this fish. Okay, and that tastes like that bird. Eishes ish, you can't live with a married woman. However, gerusha, if she's divorced, b'chaye baila, her husband's still alive, it's still permissible. Eishes ach, you can't marry the wife of your brother, but yivama, a yivam is allowed. Kutis, you can't marry a non-Jewish woman, but yifas tayar, a soldier in battle is allowed to take a wife. There's a lot of halachas. You have Goya, you have the original.
What did it say?
It says Goya. Here we said Kutis. The censor. Okay.
This time.
No, his put back in the old from the manuscript. We have the edited. But I'd really like to have some milk and meat.
Double cheeseburger.
Yeah. So Amalu Rav Nachman says, Amalu Rav Nachman Latavchi, Rav Nachman says to his butcher, Zvikuli kachli, put an udder on a spit. That means that I'm going to serve her some milk and meat to satisfy this request. But we learned that you have to tear it. It says Ahula K'dera, that's if you're putting it in a pot.
He was just roasting.
He was just roasting it. So, which is interesting because before we said for roasting,
right, you also have to do that.
You have to tear it. Yeah. So Rashi says Rav Nachman holds like the Lishna Basra, where Aser means when it's cooked, and here it comes out more lenient by the roasting. Okay. Baktani Shabishlo, the Eved in the Chatchilalai, but we said that it's only after the fact that you didn't have to, but lechatchila you're supposed to. The Gemara says, "Who didn't have to lechatchila? Even originally, it's fine to do it like this." Why did the Kabbalah misni seifa? But because in the seifa we said keva shabishla, that a keva that was cooked bechalba with the milk that's it nursed inside a surah, that filu di'eved namilai, because over there when you cook the keva, we're quoting the brisa that said that kal shabishla is mutter. Which sounds like after the fact. So we said, no, that's because the second case there was keva shabishla, which was usher even after the fact. The stomach of the animal, of the calf, it's cooked with the milk that it nursed, that's usher even after the fact. So it tells us the first case about that it's mutter after the fact, but it really could have said it's mutter lechatchila as well. You're allowed to go ahead and do that. So tananami reisha shabishla. Okay. Kisalak Rabbi Lazar, when Rabbi Lazar went up, Rabbi Lazar is Rabbi Lazar ben Pedas, and apparently he came from Babel and he goes up to Israel. And Ashkechei Zeiri, he finds Zeiri. In Amalei, he says, Ikatana disnaya l'Rav Kchal. Is there someone here that taught Rav the halachas of Kchal, and he understood that Rav says that the second version of Kchal, that if it was cooked without roasting, if it was cooked without tearing it, it's aser. So he said, who taught Rav Chal? So Achvaya l'Rav Yitzchak bar Avdumi. They pointed to Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi, and they said he's the one. Amalei ani lo sheni selek Chal kolik. I didn't teach him anything about Chal. He denies that. However, Rav bika matzah v'gada bageder. He found a crack, like an opening, and he built a fence. He forbade it for a reason that he saw that there was something going wrong, and so he made it prohibited. The Rav ikla letatal push. He came to this place, Tatal Push, and Shama lahi itza. He hears this woman, the Ka'amar Lachaverta, that says to her friend, Riva de Bisra, if I have a liter, a quarter is a quarter of a gallon. If I have Rashi says a litra, so it's a quarter. A quart. It's a quart. Okay, if I have a quart of meat, how much milk do I need? How much milk do I need to cook? In other words, she's asking the ratio, purport, how much milk to add to a quart of meat. So Rav is a little surprised. He hears this conversation. He's like, "Oh my gosh, this is not a kosher house. What's going on here?" He says, "Amar like Gemiri the basar b'chalav asur." They don't know that milk and meat is prohibited. She's about to put milk in. So Yaakov, he stayed there, deliberated on this v'kasel ukachli, and he made the udder forbidden because of
just to
separate to make it more clear that milk and meat is prohibited. I guess he understood that the reason why they had this leniency was because
maybe it started there.
Started with Chal, and it led on to other things. Rav Kana Masni Hachi. Rav Kana taught it like this. Rav Yosef bar Abba Masni. Rav Yosef bar Abba taught it differently. Anok Chal shel Menika shenisilai. In your translations, is it Rab Yitzchak bar Avdumi that's responding? Ana?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Ana, Rab Yitzchak bar Avdumi, that said I didn't teach him anything in the last version of this. He says, no. I taught Rav Chal, yes, but it was talking about a nursing mother that had the udder full of milk. And Umi Papuli shel Rab Chia shan like Chal stam. Rab Chia also taught Rav, and Rab Chia was very sharp. And Rab Chia understood that everyone else was as sharp as him. So he didn't explain everything. So because Rab Chia was so sharp, Rav heard from Rab Chia, but Rab Chia didn't explain that it was only if it was a nursing mother. Really, you need to... Rab Chia is Rav's uncle. And so Rav ends up coming out saying that all udders are forbidden if they're cooked, even if they weren't nursing. Even if they didn't have milk in them. You see on the top of it here, you have Reb Chia. You see the sons of Reb Chia.
Where's Reb Chia?
Oh, I don't know Reb Yosef bar Abba. Here's Reb Chia. We have Reb Chia's sons, Chizki and Yehuda. I forget, you told me once which one was older. Yeah, we had it once earlier in Chullin. We had it in Chullin.
Yeah.
And Rav...
The younger one was disputing the older one.
Rav's father is Evu. Evu is a brother of Reb Chia. Rav's mother, her name was Ema, and was also a sister of Reb Chia. We explained how that was possible. Okay. Ravin v'Rab Yitzchak bar Yosef. Ravin in Rab Yitzchak bar Yosef. Here you have Ravin. Ravin was a traveler. Okay, he's going to be in the same generation as Abaye, even though on the chart he looks a little bit older, but he's Ravin Rab Yitzchak bar Yosef. Iklu lebei Rav Papi. They came to the house of Rav Papi. Is Rav Papi on the chart? Okay, we didn't know actually where Rav Papi is, what generation, but now we do. Now we know that he's somewhere up here. So, and I see lekamayu tavshila de kal. They bring out a stew with kal in it, made from udder, the udder of the animal. Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef achal. Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef ate it, and Ravin lo yachal. Ravin didn't eat. Amar Abaya. Abaya says Ravin tichla. Ravin buries his sons. I don't know, is it a curse or is it a nickname? Amai lo yachal. Why didn't Ravin eat? Michti. Let's see. The base of the Rav Papi's wife is Brati de Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha, is the daughter of Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. Havai, she is. Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha Mari Dov Davim, and Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha is a master of action. That means he was very careful to do everything correctly. Ilav de Shmiel mi Bei Nasha. If she did not hear from her father's house, Levi Avda, she never would have done it. It must be that she was raised by Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. She must know what she's doing. And nevertheless, Ravin's not going to eat.
It's over here. It says not that he buried his sons, but his father passed away before he was born, and his mother passed away in childbirth.
Just 1 second. Ravin, also known as Rabbi Avin, was called bereaved due to the deaths that coincided with his birth. Elsewhere, it is claimed that his father passed away on the day of his birth. Alternatively, Rashi explains that he was called because many of his children died in his lifetime. Rashi over here says that as well. Kaiver Banav. Yeah. Okay. Besura layachli kachli. In Surah they didn't eat the kal, but Pumpadisa achli kachli. In Pumpadisa they did eat the kal. On this other chart, we didn't make the copies of this, but we do have a map. You got this for us,
I have
right?
a couple of them in there. Should be.
So he did this interesting because he made a like a modern map, yeah, and then he did this map, so it overlaps. You can look through to see where the location was. You see what they like in the onion paper. So we're in. Let's see.
Iraq.
Let's look
What are we looking for?
Surah is in Iraq, and Pumpadisa is also in Iraq. Let's go back. Let's just do this one. Oh, even better. Surah should be in the south, and Pumpadisa is in the north. Surah is on the Euphrates. They're both on the Euphrates. Okay.
Where's Shushan?
Yeah, where's Shushan? Shushan should be in Iran.
Should be.
Yeah.